Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 29 of Beyond the Plate. 28 weeks of your love and affection, and things are just getting better and better. Courtesy my co-host, expert, all-round great lady, Chef Amrita Raichand. Hi, how are you? Welcome to Beyond the Plate.
Hey Rishi, thank you always for making me feel on top of the world. It's so good to be here with you and so good to be back.
You're what they call a viral sensation. Ask me why. Well, last episode we concentrated on winter foods. You talked about your top 3 pick of great Punjabi dishes in the winter. And one of your main picks, the main pick out of which you made the recipe of the week, was carrot halwa. And you talked about carrots being a superfood. Subsequently, lots and lots of queries on root vegetables, Amrita. Lots of people want to understand root vegetables. They want to understand the category, the culinary use, health benefits. But they're also worried about weight gain, saying root vegetables, do they cause weight gain or not? So I think the best person to address all of this would be you.
Okay, yeah, it's a really interesting umbrella of vegetables, these root vegetables, and yes, a lot of people do get confused. They also get a little worried while having it, but let's go one by one. Now, let's start with the basics. What are root vegetables? Well, in cuisine and nutrition, they are aptly named because this is a crop which grows downwards, absorbs moisture and nutrients from the soil, and it's something that we eat. That part which goes down, the meat of the crop, is what we enjoy eating, and that's also the source of nutrition for the plant. All right, so that's the basic definition of what root vegetables are. They can be they are edible plant roots or modified stems that grows underground. Now, if it's reminding you of biology chapters from when you were small, well, hold on, there is more to it. Now, these root vegetables, like I called it an umbrella, it actually has many subcategories. We have true root vegetables, which are the edible, where the edible part consists of the root of the plant, where many are tap roots that are tapering in shape, carrots, which we addressed in our last episode, and radish belongs to the same. But they can also be bulbous, like beetroots, like turnips. Then the next category are actually called bulbs. They are not the bulbous true root vegetables, but they actually bulb. And what is their characteristic? They have many layers. Our onion, leek, garlic. They all fall in this bulb category. Now, corms. What are corms? Again, a lot like bulbs, but they are a full, solid, fleshy mass. Think water chestnuts. Going off to rhizomes. Rhizomes are your garlic, your turmeric. They grow horizontally under the soil itself.
So they're like stems, isn't it? Yeah.
So a lot of them are modified stems, and the true roots are actually modified roots. And finally, we have tubers. Now, again, this has, this is divided amongst 2 categories. The stem tubers, which are called the true tubers, like potatoes and yams, and root tubers. It's such a tongue twister, Rishi. The root tubers, which are, sweet potatoes and cassava, comes in that category. Now, so all in all, these bulbs, roots, tubers, all of them absorb water and nutrients from the soil to feed the rest of the plant. These nutrients make them dietary powerhouses for us, and I'll talk about that a little later. What I want to emphasize now on is the fact that even though these root vegetables don't look so pretty, on the surface they don't look so pretty, but believe it or not, they are very respected in our culinary world. They're very versatile, they're so diverse, and they are highly nutritious. These are things that you want to see coming out of your vegetable garden, and for us city mortals from farmers markets, that's the only place we will find them.
Listen, what I love is that it's no waste cooking.
Yes.
I mean, you can use the skins, the stems, the tops, and make it part of vegetables, broths too and things like that. So that's absolutely lovely.
And also, you can turn them into proper entrees. I was talking to you about why they are so highly respected in our culinary world, because it can replace a pasta. It can replace a rice. You can actually turn it into a wonderful, wonderful entree, and like you rightly said, use up all the parts of it.
Okay, I'm just going to pick carrots, onions and potatoes. Just some trivia that you think we need to know about carrots, onions and potatoes?
Yes, this is very interesting, Rishi. Did you know that, I'm sure you know, that carrots are not only available in orange. color.
Yeah.
They come in many, many colors. But what is interesting, which you may not know, is that it was only in the 17th century, thanks to the Dutch plant breeders, that we got this orangey treat that we have today. Before I move on, I hope people saw my gajar halwa recipe. If they didn't, can you please tell them again to watch it?
Guys, absolutely yummalicious. You will start salivating the moment you listen to it or watch it. And I suggest you go and do it. It's at 94.3 Radio 1 India, at Amrita Raichand, and also at Chef and Beyond on YouTube. So Amrita Raichand and 94.3 Radio 1 in India on Instagram, and Chef and Beyond in YouTube. Okay, so you talked about carrots. Now, potatoes, onions, yeah?
Yes, onions are, people have been eating onions for 5,000 years. In fact, the Egyptians had a prayer, Lord, give me bread and onions. And believe it or not, that's what the builders of the pyramid were fed. They also say that apparently Greek athletes used to eat huge quantities of onions while training. I need to start giving that to Agastya now, given his love for athletics.
And of course, boys' school behavior. When you wanted to run a fever, you just put it on your armpits and get more fever.
Yeah, Agastya hasn't tried that yet.
Say, can I go home and chill and things like that. Potatoes.
It's a beautiful term, I have to say. Potatoes are called the egg of the root vegetables because they're as versatile. They're so cheap, they're easily available. So they actually form a very, and we always have potatoes in our house, right? Of course, now don't go around replacing the number of eggs you can have with the number of potatoes, and definitely don't deep fry them and have it very often. But truly, potatoes are also a great source of vitamin C, vitamin B6, potassium, folate, and naturally they are fat free. It's just that when you deep fry it, when you do crazy things to it, it gets a bad name.
So now that you've moved across the border from trivia to health benefits, a little more on health benefits. I mean, obviously it would depend on the soil where they grow, under the soil.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about the minerals that are in there, how it improves heart health, immunity, the whole works?
Yeah, so it's amazing how the benefits of root vegetables are very underrated, which is why I thought that it's imperative, since anyway a lot of people were asking about it, it's imperative to talk about it. Clearly, because of their close contact with the soil, they are rich in minerals like potassium, zinc, copper, phosphorus, and magnesium. I already mentioned this, but I'll say it again. They are low in calories. Believe it or not, the flesh of a medium baked sweet potato has only got 103 calories. And guess how much vitamin A it has, Rishi?
Don't know.
1,000 micrograms.
Ooh.
Isn't it amazing? It's actually
Amazing.
the entire recommended dietary allowance for the day. Again, carrots. They are such great source of vitamin A, which 1,000 micrograms in a cup of chopped raw carrots. But guess how many calories does that 1 cup of raw carrots have? Take a guess.
50?
50. No, only 12.
12 grams.
Can you
wow, I'd
believe
be
it?
damned, yeah.
Yeah. So they're really rich in fiber, that we all know. And fiber is imperative for healthy digestive system. Also promotes better glucose stability. So it's actually extremely good. Now let's talk about bone health. They're full of calcium. They're full of phosphorus. Helps in bone health. Heart health. They're high sources of potassium, which regulates pressure, blood pressure. Helps building immunity. We've already spoken about how high in vitamin C they are. Anti-inflammatory effects. They have phytonutrients in many of them, which potentially reduce inflammation in the body. Hydration. Since they are below the ground, they are full of water. Most root vegetables have very high water content, and we've spoken about how important hydration is to our bodies. Improve skin health, and during winters when we have dryness, it actually helps if you have lots of root vegetables, because it kind of maintains and promotes cell turnover. It protects against sun damage. And finally, garlic and turmeric, we all know they have antibacterial qualities that can help limit bacterial overgrowth in the gut. So now tell me, aren't there powerhouses of health and nutrition?
Completely. But then why is it that they say if you eat too many root vegetables, you ought to just watch your tummy a little bit?
Yes.
And maybe exercise.
No, so that's said for any and every food item that you eat, whether it's vegetable, whether it's starch. But I will quote dietitian Teresa Fung, who's a professor in the nutrition department at the Harvard School of Public Health, that since these carbohydrates are, a lot of them are also high in carbohydrates, they are more like grains than greens, and hence it makes more sense to put them in the same category, say as bread, rice or pasta. Like I mentioned earlier, instead of pasta you can actually serve a nice entree made with the sweet potato. Do not have both together. So what happens actually, Rishi, with most root vegetables, because of their starchy characteristic, one tends to consider them as comfort food.
Sure.
And when you're being comforted by something, you just somehow tend to have more of it. So what is really, really important is to have portion control when you're having root vegetables, at least with some of them. Make it like I mentioned already, make it as a side dish or a part of another dish, not paired with pastas and rice and breads. Try and eat a variety of root vegetables, because like we discussed, each of them have such different, they're such different sources of nutrition, and all are needed by the body. And then, very important, find interesting ways of cooking them. When you cook a lot of these root vegetables, you actually increase their resistant starch. So things like braising, using them in stews, roasting them is, it's worldwide famous, roasting root vegetables. It's truly delicious when you do that, and you also make it healthier. Pair it with exciting protein, pair it with something crunchy like nuts and seeds, and then you kind of balance out the whole texture as well of these root vegetables.
Wonderful. The Ask Amrita section comes up at the end of the show. Ask her anything about recipes, food history, special kinds of food, and she will oblige answer you. 9833-943-943, 9833-943-943. Please also pop your name in there along with the question. The show comes to you Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, 94.3 on the FM band. That's where Radio 1 is in audio form. 2 days later, and it comes every Monday, 8:15 to 9 a.m. 2 days later on Wednesday, there will be a drop, pure video, full video on the Radio 1 International YouTube channel. The recipe of the day, however, comes to you on Instagram at 94.3 Radio 1 India and at Amrita Raichand. Amrita shoots this, films this in her studio kitchen, and you might want to take a look at that now. But suffices to say, it's time for the recipe of the week, and because we've been talking root vegetables, it stems from root vegetables. Right, Amrita?
Yes, it also stems from the color of your t-shirt, which is purple. I'm going to be giving you a delicious and a very easy recipe of purple yam chips. So again, like we spoke, yam is in season right now. Look out for purple yams.
It's surprising how just the word chips makes my mouth water.
And these are healthy chips. They are not deep fried, and they are so delicious. What I do is I roast this with a little marination of rosemary, salt and pepper, obviously with some olive oil, some extra virgin olive oil. And what you have to do, which makes these chips nice and crunchy, you need to finely slice them. I use a mandolin. You can also use a regular knife to do it, but mandolin will give you nice, uniform, thin slices. And why would you complicate and take more time in doing something that can be done easily? So just bake these at about 160 degrees in an oven for 10 to 12 minutes, and I promise you, Rishi, you are left with delicious purple yam chips.
Super stuff. Time for the Ask Amrita section. This is Priyanka. Amrita, can you recommend some pre-yoga snacks to provide energy without feeling too heavy? A lot of people ask me this, This is, of course, for a pre-yoga routine, but somebody who's going out for a run, somebody who's going out to the gym. I find a lot of people just going empty stomach. Is that a good thing?
It's not a bad thing. Going empty stomach is also not a bad thing, because a lot of people do intermittent fasting. So if you've not eaten anything at night, you've done intermittent fasting, and then you go and work out, it actually helps to burn more fat. So it's actually not a bad thing. But for those people who can't function without something in their stomach, and I have to confess, I'm one of them. When I wake up, what I do is I have a little bit of nariyal pani. I have 5 soaked almonds and a little bit of sabza seeds, which are again soaked, before I have my cup of coffee. And after about an hour is when I go to workout. Now, you could do the same thing before yoga if you wake up and within 10 minutes you have yoga, I would highly advise you not to have anything, because yoga also involves a lot of, turning, a lot of these poses where you're upside down. I love yoga too, so I know the poses. I would not risk having anything in my stomach if I'm going to be doing yoga immediately. But if you have a while, at least make sure 2 hours you're empty stomach. And like I said, you can have these little knickknacks. You can have a small elaichi banana, which is very, very healthy and not that sweet.
Lovely. Till next week on Beyond the Plate. You take care of yourself, Amrita. Thank you so much for your wonderful contribution to this show. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me here, Rishi. Bye-bye.
94.3 Radio 1.